Welcome to yet again another episode of the Seamus Evans Show. I really want to get into updating you on getting up at 4 a.m. every single day. How boring that might sound, I do have an update, and I'm at a fork in the road moment. And this is a really clear indication as to why people give up on goals. And I'm at that point at the moment. Do I give up or do I continue? So many of us, specifically this time of year, are faced with that same fork in the road question of, hey, I've got my New Year's resolution, I've set my goals, but I failed. Do I continue? You're at the turn back moment right now. Someone who else has a turn back moment, had a turn back moment. I interviewed them many years ago when I was hosting Totally Wild, when I was reporting for Totally Wild, sorry. It was a German cyclist backpacker. He was like 27 and he was an engineer in Germany. And he quit his job and one day he just went, I'm just going to go for a ride. He packed his bag because he's going to stay overnight. And he just wanted to see how far he could go. And he rode out of his driveway. He rode away from his house and he just kept riding. And he went 8 hours or whatever. And he camped somewhere. He pulled his sleeping bag, his tent, his swag, whatever it was, and he slept. The morning he woke up, he was like, I can turn back home now, or I can keep going to see how far I can go. That was the turn back moment. I interviewed him 2.5 years after that moment. He had been cycling from Germany all over the world. And at this time, he was in Australia. He went through Europe, he went through Africa, he went through Asia, and he was in Australia. It took him 2.5 years. And he first rode out of his driveway. And he had that moment of, I can turn back now or I can keep going. And because he got up the next day and kept riding, he went, I'm too far to turn back home. Then it would be a 4-day trip. I may as well just keep going. And he never stopped. What was really interesting about him is I asked him, do you get lonely? And he said, because he was in India. I was talking to him about India and how busy and how populated it is. And that he knows no one. I said, do you get lonely? He goes, I get lonely in India when there's a lot of people and I'm sitting on the street and I don't know anyone and no one comes up to me. I feel very lonely. But when I'm in the wilderness completely on my own, no, I don't feel lonely because it's just me. And I was like, wow. It was really insightful. He was very wise. I also asked him what his most prized possession was, and he said a spoon. He goes, it's my favorite item because I use it every single night to eat my tin of food. And he was an avid reader. He would read all the time. That was his only form of entertainment. And he would trade books with people. So he'd kind of go to a hostel or he'd go around, right? And he'd just meet random people and he would trade books. This is the book I'm reading. What book have you got? And he only ever had a handful of items, like only one backpack. 2.5 years. It was so cool. Man, I remember meeting that guy and I was so inspired to travel the world, but instead I chased a career. But I traveled the world. I've had my fun. I've had a really good time. But I'm at that fork in the road moment right now. See, I have been getting up at 4 a.m. every day, even over the weekend, because I'm trying to train myself to get up early and have a few hours to myself before having to think about work, life, and all of the stresses that can come with it. I want to give me some me time and make sure I invest in myself, my well-being, my mentality, everything. I want to have my time before I have to start the day and my attention is being pulled in a million different directions. And I have found since doing that, I'm a lot happier. I get up, I have my food, I have my coffee, I have my water, I read, I meditate, I pray, I chill. Then I go to jiu-jitsu. And when I come back at 7:10, I can handle any problem life throws at me. Now, as I've said on this podcast a few different times, I am a father and my daughter is 2 or about to be 2. And we had to take her to the hospital because of some intense breathing. She was and hot temperature. And so it was 11 o'clock at night and we got to go. Like, it's just important to do. And here in Australia, we're fortunate enough that we've got such a great healthcare. We went straight to the children's hospital and went straight in and got seen by a doctor, x-ray, got some results. Long story short, pneumonia. So had to stay overnight. Regardless, I got home at 2 a.m. in the morning. So that ruined getting up at 4 a.m. And last night, I went to bed, 9 o'clock. Right, let's kick back into it. I'll get up at 4 a.m. again. I know I had a mishap, but you just keep pushing forward. My alarm was set for 4 a.m. I wake up at about 10 past 6 to birds chirping and it's bright. I'm like, I've slept in here. I checked my phone thinking it didn't go off. It went off, but I was just that exhausted that my body didn't respond to it. So I'm at that stage. Do I quit or do I keep going? Now, I already got about almost just a week and a half, let's say a week and a half in, and I started to feel really good. And I was doing it. It was effective. I wasn't as tired. It was working. But now I've got to reset back to zero. Now, with our goal setting, with our achievements in life, we have such high expectations. And if we have one fallback, if we have one setback, if we have one failure, we want to throw the towel in and, I can't do it. It's too hard. Right now is where you go, okay, I messed up. I made a mistake. It didn't work. Let's keep going. So I'm at that phase where I can just quit right now or keep going. Obviously, I'm going to keep going. Now, the reasons why I want to get up at 4 a.m., yes, because it really sets my mental state up for the day. Not only that, I feel like with my lifestyle at the moment, I'm addicted to jiu-jitsu and I'm addicted to lifting weights. And I have a business to run and I have a family to provide for and I have a relationship to be involved with and a dad to be. So if I have too much stuff on my plate, I need to get up early so I can get a head start on everything. And this is a common behavioral trait for people with ADHD, for people who have high expectations of themselves. Putting way too much on your plate and you get overwhelmed with what you're not doing. You get overwhelmed with what you are doing and you tend to give up and you tend to quit. And that's why you always get a little bit along with some things, but you never actually continue. And one thing I'm learning, the last 18 months has taught me, is you just have to keep doing the thing. As long as you understand the system, understand the plan, you have a goal in mind and a system. Goal and system. And I spoke about this last episode in day 1. You need to follow a plan. And that plan is boring and that plan is hard. And a lot of the times you're going to fail. But those failures bring lessons. Learning to embrace failure is really, really valuable and important. I caught up with someone recently who wants to be a motivational speaker and they said, I want you to tell me everywhere that you've failed so I can learn from your lessons, but I don't have the scars that you've got. And I was like, fair enough. In fact, I did that exact same meeting with many different motivational speakers when I first started and I asked them the same thing. Tell me what you've learned so I don't have to make those mistakes and I can fast track. That's what I said. I said that to multiple people and this kid said that to me. And I sat with it and I was like, I will tell you, but it won't mean anything because you need the scars. You need those scars. Those scars tell a story. They tell a lesson. Like, this is the difference between theory and prac. You can learn all the theory in the world about running. You can read about running as much as you want and be an expert in running without actually having to run. But that doesn't make you a good runner. You've got to get out there and actually feel what it's like when your body wants to give up, when your brain is saying you can't take another step, when you are gasped for air, how you push past that wall and the feeling that you get when you push past it and you get another wind. The gust. See, I'm telling you this now, but if you've never experienced it, you don't get it. We need the scars. We need to fall down. We need to fall over, scrape our knees, get those scars that tell a story, that tell us the lesson that we've learnt. This is the secret to life. But you've got to build up your confidence in order to actually have a go. So many times we overwhelm ourselves with these negative thoughts, this negative things that we think people are saying about us behind our back, these negative thoughts that stop us from propelling forward and scraping your knees. Don't do that, you'll fail. Don't do that, you'll fall over. Don't do that, you might get hurt. This mentality, this little inner dialogue, I don't know why it's there for us humans. I believe it's there to keep us safe. I remember doing some research a little while ago, and it said that there's your inner child that stops you from doing things and stepping out of your comfort zone because you could be hurt. It's back in the caveman days when, don't go too far away. Oh, don't jump over that. You might get hurt. It's actually designed to keep you safe, right? But we haven't been cavemen for thousands of years. Do we still need that? How has that not evolved to go, hey, actually, what we have found is when you push past that little inner dialogue that tells you can't do it, you actually achieve great feats. You should continue not listening to that. Like, we have evolved so much as humans, the fact that we don't even need our wisdom teeth. Like, we need to pull them out now because they are useless. We don't use them. So why have our minds and our inner dialogue not evolved to say, when we talk positively about ourselves and champion ourselves, you actually do awesome stuff. Keep going. Our brains need to evolve, man. So I'm currently reading Think and Grow Rich, which is a really good book. It's like the condensed version, you do it in 10 minutes a day, of the one that Napoleon Hill wrote in 1937. And it's all about mentality. It's all about imagining exactly what you want, the wealth, the riches, the salary, the house, all of those in very specific detail. And it's actually a written contract. Like, it tells you to fill in the blanks, but it's like a legal binding contract between you and your own brain. And it basically tells you fill in the blanks and say it every day before you go to sleep and when you wake up. And also spend half an hour visualizing exactly all the things that you want in this life and how you're going to get it. And basically what it says is the universe, i.e. your unconscious mind or your subconscious, will behind the scenes start putting those little neural pathways together to actually find ways for you to achieve that. What I am learning is that our mind, and I've said this countless times on my podcasts and videos, is our mind is incredibly powerful. So powerful that it stops you from using it correctly. I watched the Netflix documentary with Eddie Murphy. Big fan of Eddie Murphy. I love him. I have idolized him ever since I used to find the hidden VHS tape of his stand-up comedy show, Delirious, and I would put it on when I was like 6 years of age and watch it over and over and over and over. Like, I loved it, seeing him in that orange leather suit, swearing, saying racial-based humor and cultural-based humor, and all of these like comedy routines that made me die of laughter, like heel over and having a stitch of laughter. Eddie Murphy has been an idol of mine for a very, very long time. So I watched the documentary on Netflix of him I think it's called Being Eddie. He talks about when he was a child, he had really bad OCD. He didn't know what it was, but he just knew he had to get up out of bed and check that the oven was off like 40 times. He had to do it over and over. Like, every time he'd lay down, I'm pretty sure that oven's on. I've got to go, otherwise the house will burn down. And he'd get up and he'd make sure it's okay, it's off. 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 of them off. Okay, great. And he'd lay down. Oh no, hang on a second. I've got to check if it's off. And he said he did this 40 times every night. This is really severe OCD. But at that time, no one knew what OCD was. He just thought it was something he did. Then he heard an interview or a TV show or a radio show, they were talking about OCD. And when he realized that's what I've got and that's a condition, that's a diagnosis, he instantly said, well, I don't do it anymore. And it stopped. He cured himself from OCD. So he says, whether it manifests in different ways, like he is very successful, so he's probably really finicky about the details of his performance, which OCD could be manifesting in there. This is full hearsay and assumptions. But what I am getting at is that his mind, he made a clear decision. I won't get up 40 times a night and check if the oven is off. My partner, every single time we drive away from the house, she goes, did I turn the oven off? And I have to tell her, you need to trust yourself. Not once have you ever left an oven on. Not once have you left your hair straightener on. You need to trust that you're doing the right thing and that you didn't make a mistake. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. But the moral of the story here is our minds are so powerful, but we don't know how to use them. It's like having a Ferrari, but we only have a license and we've only been learning how to drive a 4-cylinder, 2-liter Toyota Yaris. But our minds are Ferraris. We don't understand. When you put the pedal to the metal, how powerful you go, and we get scared and chuck the brakes on. We can talk ourselves into anything and we can talk ourselves out of anything. What I have learnt is just going through the motions mindlessly is how you actually get the results. Doing the work that you hate, but doing it mindlessly. Going somewhere else psychologically. Pretending you're not there and actually just doing the motions. The reps are the most important thing. You want to get good at something? Do it over and over and over and over. And if you fail, if you struggle, if you can't do the rep, you don't stop. You just keep trying. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been addicted to lifting weights for the past year or so. And every time I will push my body. Let's see how heavy I can lift. Let's see how many reps I can do. And I'll get to a point where I can't lift anymore. So I drop the weight and I keep lifting. I wait 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I lift some more. Reps are boring because you have to do it over and over and you don't see results. But what I'm learning in life, we have time. We can keep doing the reps. We can keep making mistakes. We can keep stuffing up. As long as we keep in the direction of our goals and what we want out of life. That is the main thing. We've got to stay on path. So yes, I am at this fork in the road where I can stop right now and give up on my goal of getting up at 4 a.m. every day because I've had a difficult week and I've not gotten up at 4 a.m. Or I can keep trying. Probably going to be met with another setback. But the important thing is that I don't beat myself up. I don't get angry. I don't get frustrated. I don't say I can't do it. I don't continue to look at people who can do it and go, oh, I wish I could be like you. The point is, you just keep trying. And one day it might sink in. It might click. I was watching an interview with Mark Cuban. Now, this is a billionaire who owns the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, a billionaire. He's on Shark Tank. I watched a masterclass video with him, and he was talking about business, something that in my 30s I've started to develop a little bit of a keen interest in, purely because I suck at it. And never have I needed to develop business acumen. But now working for myself, being a motivational speaker, turning me into a business, it's very important to improve your knowledge and improve your research and have a better understanding of how business works. What I have found out by researching business, you actually get a better understanding of how the world works, of how things operate, supply and demand, why people do what they do. Because a lot of the times, people might say that they're selfish, or the rules of business, take money from their pocket and put it in your pocket. That's the rules. Make money. That's what this world is run by. Money and power. So when you look at all the atrocities in the world, you can kind of put it down to money and power. If you look at how a lot of the times you'll want really good customer service and get crap customer service, that's because the business is trying to save money. They want to make more money. Like, that's just how the world works. It sucks because money is nothing, but it represents so much, and it can impact you so much, and you can obsess over it, or you can not care about it. I've met really rich people and I've met really poor people. Okay. I have met a lot of really rich people who say money isn't everything and it doesn't make you happy. And I've met a lot of poor people who say money is everything and I can be a lot happier. I met a guy who had a lot of money. He had a really good business deal and he sold a company for a large number. I don't know what the number is. He never told me. And I never asked, because that's another rule. You're not meant to ask. So you just don't. Anyway, he went through this psychological identity journey, and he didn't want to be attached to money. He had a lot of it and he wasn't happy. So he decided to just keep living until the money ran out, and he finally ran out of money. It took him a few years and he just lived his normal life, but he slowly dwindled down the money that he got from selling this company. When he hit rock bottom and he had no money, he had to really discover who he was as a person, what his identity is, and really go through that self-discovery journey. Then he built himself back up and he started making more money, but he had to kind of hit rock bottom. And it's interesting. I've been watching a lot of masterclass videos, which is a really great platform, by the way. I highly recommend you pay for it and get it, and it's really good. And in these videos, they talk about money and the psychological attachment we have to money. And if we're able to disconnect and cut that psychological connection off, you have more chances of making more money. Why? Because you can take risks. You have to spend money to make money is one of the rules. So if we're able to disassociate our emotional mind when it comes to money and understand it as a physical commodity to buy and sell and trade our services for this money, so you can buy and sell and do more things, it unlocks opportunities for you when you have more of it. Supposedly, this is what Think and Grow Rich masterclass when it comes to people who are billionaires. This is what they all say about it. But it's all a mindset. Now, I'm working on that mindset. Wouldn't mind the bank account to follow suit. It's pretty easy when you're a billionaire to say, money isn't everything. It's all the mindset. Okay. Pretty hard thing to achieve. But anyway, I'm on the path. I don't believe in luck. I believe in preparation meets opportunity. Okay. You've got to be prepared for when the opportunity comes along. There's an Australian comedian who is about to be an international name. He's made it pretty big at the moment in America. He's probably not Netflix special ready, but he's close. His name is James Donald Forbes McCann. And I met him many years ago when I was living in Adelaide and I was doing stand-up comedy, and he was on stage when I was going up on stage, and regardless, I met the guy a handful of times. He wouldn't know who I am. But he has been a comedian here in Australia for like 15 years, doing fringe shows, doing small bars, doing random late night gigs for years and years and years. And then he was doing his comedy special down in Melbourne. And Shane Gillis, one of the American popular comedians who's got his own Netflix special, he's always on Joe Rogan, he happened to be there in the crowd that night and watched James Donald Forbes McCann perform and went, I like that guy. I think he's funny. His people got in touch with his people. Now, James is over in America, best friends with Shane Gillis, has been on Joe Rogan. He's always on Kill Tony. He's absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it. And there are so many other comedians that would absolutely be desperate for that role and desperate for that opportunity. And what I've come to learn is luck is preparation meets opportunity. You have to be ready for when that opportunity strikes you like a bolt of lightning. And if you're not, you miss it. It goes by. Mark Cuban, the billionaire that I brought up earlier, he talks about how he became a billionaire. And he said, luck. You need a lot of luck to be on your side. But you need to be in the game. You need to be in it and doing your best every single day. So when that opportunity does come along, it strikes and you hit gold. You can't wait around for the opportunity. You need to be proactive, getting on the front foot. One of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn as a 35-year-old man, I learned this a few years ago. No one actually helps you and tells you what to do. You have to work that out for yourself. You have to work out what the correct way is, what the right decision is. And the little secret that I've learned, there's no such thing as a right decision. You just have to make your decision the right one. That little sentence really made a strong impact in my life because we're always met with choices. We're always met with a decision. Do I go to that university? Do I study that course? Do I ask that person out? Do I go to that school? Do I go to the movies today? Whatever it might be, we're always met with a decision. And when it comes to our career, when it comes to our relationships and our life, we are too worried sometimes about making the right decision. What's the right decision? The truth is there is no right decision. It's just whatever your decision is. Unfortunately, hindsight always rears its head and say, that was the wrong decision. By the way, what you did there, that was the wrong one. Shouldn't have done that. But that's hindsight for you. You just have to commit to what your decision is and make sure it's the right one. That took me a long time to learn. There are so many different ways you can skin a cat. That's a saying, right? You still get the job done, but you can do it many different ways. That's where a lot of conflict lies professionally because people have one way of doing it and your colleague has another way of doing it. And you argue which way's the right way. Who cares, man? The cat has been skinned. That is the whole point. So when this guy asked me, hey, I want to learn all the lessons that you've learned, but without having to get the scars are what give you the lesson. If I tell you how to do a thing because I've had to learn the hard way, it might not be appropriate for you. It's maybe not a one size fits all. Maybe the lessons that I learn are appropriate for my life and my course of action and my path. But not for you. You might find a completely different way. That's why you've just got to keep getting up and getting it done. And you've got to tell yourself, you've got to look after yourself so you can actually go into the world, brave those setbacks, brave that psychological disadvantage when your mind says you can't do it. You have to be able to walk into it mindlessly and do it anyway. Get the scars, fall over, hurt your knee, etc., etc., etc. The other element to this, I think it's really important, is that you can't be expecting luck and then you'll be happy. You can't be waiting around thinking, when this happens, then I'll be happy. When this happens, then I'll be whole. When I earn this much. When I meet my girlfriend or boyfriend. When I have kids. When I buy the house, I'll be happy. When I go to that university degree, I'll be happy. When I get a new job, I'll be happy. You can't get stuck in that. You have to be happy with where you are now, where you are today. And if you're not, you've got to change your situation, bro. You've got to change it. You have the power to change it. If you're not happy, change it. What I've learned about happiness is it is all, again, up here. Emptiness, you must first understand emptiness so you can allow happiness. Emptying your mind and being present. Then you allow happiness to come in. Happiness is a mindset. It is a state of mind. It is a thing you can feel. It's not an achievement or a goal to reach. You can be happy now. Gratitude. That is the secret to happiness. Being happy with what you've got right now, your house, your friends, your family, your items, what you get to do every single day. When you train your brain to be happy or gratitude and grateful for what life has given you, then you start to have a happier, better, nicer outlook in life. That's one of the little secrets that I've learnt with happiness. Because so many times we can get in our own brain going, oh man, life sucks. Oh, when I get a pay rise, then I'll be happy. Nah, man, if you're not happy now, you're never going to be happy. The pay rise ain't going to do diddly squat. Let me just fill you in on that little secret right there. Pay rises, not going to do a thing. All it means you'll eat out once or twice a week extra. Ooh, I mean, great, fun, but it doesn't make you happy. You know, when I was working in radio, I didn't earn that much money, but I had an income. And then I lost that radio job and I had no money. That was the happiest I'd ever been, because I had nothing. It's weird. When you have, sometimes you can get annoyed that you don't have more. And then when you do not have, you don't have the stresses that come with ownership of things that you might not be happy with. You know, the best thing I think we can do in life is fail. Because you don't know who you really are if you haven't been tested. If your limits haven't been pushed. If you haven't felt hunger, pain, frustration, anger, setback, rejection. If you haven't felt them, you don't know who you are. It's like in the movie Fight Club, which I've watched 1,000,000 times. It says, how do you really know who you are if you've never been in a fight? And really, life is the same. I don't mean a physical fight, but you got to fight for a lot of things. You got to fight for a career. You got to fight for school grades. You've got to fight for a relationship. You've got to fight, for your hobbies. Every single day you get in a fight. You get in a negotiation with yourself. And if you don't get beaten up, well, you don't know what it's like to pick yourself back up. I would love for my daughter to go through life without ever having to experience pain or suffering or any sort of setback. It would be lovely. But unfortunately, that would create a very entitled little brat that also has no experience in life. I feel as though when we're young, we can get caught up with what we don't have, what we want, and we're not focused enough on being happy with our situation and just pursuing what makes you happy, understanding the feelings you get when you do certain things and go, oh, I like that, or oh, I don't like that. I never liked playing football. So guess what? You're not seeing me lining up to get on the first 15. You're not seeing me put my hand up to go to football practice. Stuff that. I hated it, man. Did not make me happy, so I didn't do it. But there were many other things that made me happy. I liked breakdancing. I liked running. Very little sport. I wasn't a sporty guy. But when I found something I love, I did it. And I think that's a really important thing to understand is when you love something, you need to keep doing it and you need to get better at it. And when you stuff up at it, when you fail at it, when you have a setback, when you're not good at it, you keep doing it anyway. And I'm going to wrap this up with following on from many interviews that I've heard with Mike Tyson, the professional boxer that I love. I absolutely love watching him fight, understanding his psychology towards success and fighting and war. And he's a student of war. And I've just read The Art of War. I think there's a lot that you can take away from battle and war and history of human beings and how they've conducted themselves in conflicts over the years and what history has taught us. And we can apply it to our day-to-day life. Like I said, we're always in a negotiation. We're always in a fight. And he said, you have to do the thing you hate like you love it. You have to do the things you hate, but do it like you love it. That's the only way you're going to get good. It's the only way you're going to get better. It's the only way you're going to separate you from everybody else and put yourself ahead of the pack. Put your resume at the top of the pile. Is if you do the things that you hate, but you do it like you love it, and you do it anyway, and you do it more than everybody else. So, I will continue waking up at 4 a.m. Tomorrow, we start fresh, reset the clock, and ignore the fact that I failed today and failed yesterday, and you just keep on trucking.